freezing.
Yes.
I mean, 2 words. It's freezing.
Exactly. That's all you can really say. It is freezing out there, and we're keeping things even colder in the next few hours. So some very low numbers out there. We'll show exactly how low it's going to go. Right now, a little breezy out there. You can see the camera shaking in the wind a little bit. And we are looking at, again, cold conditions all across the Southland, even at the pier right there in Santa Monica. 40s right here at the Broadcast Center in Studio City, 46 degrees, and we're expecting to get even cooler. Do want to mention there's a little bit of snow still out there, and we could potentially see a few more flurries over the grapevine. So that's certainly a concern for us tonight. You're actually looking at a few flurries right there. Not a whole lot, but closer to Fraser Park, we are getting a bit of snow. So that's not out of the question tonight. Other than that, it's nice and clear. It's breezy in a lot of spots, and it's downright cold as well. We're at 14 miles an hour for Lancaster, 13 for Santa Clarita, 11 in Burbank. And if you're wondering exactly how cold it is outside right now, well, we can't get you those numbers. We will have those numbers. Oh, there we go. All right. 39 in Pasadena, 39 in Riverside, 46 in Anaheim, 47 in Laguna Beach, 18 in Wrightwood, and 27 degrees. That's for Lancaster right now. If you think that's cold, it's getting much colder tonight. No surprise that we have a freeze warning in effect, going to effect overnight through the morning hours for the IE and for the interior portions of Ventura County. We're also looking at frost advisories out there and a freeze watch that's in effect for tomorrow. Details on that coming up. Back to you.
It was cold.
Oh, was it cold?
I know everyone's been talking about it. It's a great way to strike up conversation. How about the weather? How about the weather?
That weather?
It is cold.
Can't even go into your car, which you can see people just running as fast as they can to get to their car from the
I can deal with the cold. It's just that wind, that biting wind. That is horrible. I got to keep my mouth closed when I walk across the parking lot. All that schmutz.
You don't want your tongue to freeze to your teeth.
Exactly. Then you wouldn't be able to do the show. But yeah, the wind makes it feel colder. We talked about this the other night, and it's technically colder in the wind-protected areas. So it's a little counterintuitive, but it does feel cold out there. There is a breeze out there. We do have some advisories. Wind-wise, we've got frost advisories, freeze warnings, freeze watches. Yet, with the exception of Ventura County, Camarillo tied a record low last night. Maybe we could do it again tonight. So we're going to have those numbers for you in just a minute. First, we're taking you to satellite radar. Why? Well, there's not a whole lot showing up, but I do want to mention there's a bit of cloud cover sitting over the northern slopes, over Ventura County and over parts of LA County. As a result, we could see a few more snow flurries. That's what we're seeing right now closer to Fraser Park. And as those come down, combined with the very cold temperatures, we could see icy conditions up on the grapevine. So we will continue to track that for you. Looks like we are looking at a few flurries closer to Big Bear, but other than that, it's clear out there. As a result, it's also very cool. Take a look at these numbers. Wrightwood already down to 18 degrees. We were just talking about Big Bear. You're expected to get down to 4 degrees. So single-digit temperatures tonight. 34 in Valencia, 40 in Van Nuys, 43 downtown, and 46 in Anaheim. So here go the watches, the warnings, the advisories. We've got a freeze warning. That's kicking in overnight, midnight, lasting through 8 a.m. for the IE and the interior portions of Ventura County. We're expecting sub-freezing temperatures for an extended period of time. So we're talking temperatures below 32 degrees, most likely in the 20s for hours at a time overnight. We've also got a frost advisory for the majority of the Southland right here. Spots like Glendale, Pasadena, Pomona, Thousand Oaks, all affected. The Santa Clarita Valley as well, and Orange County as well. So we're looking at very cold numbers there. Let's jump ahead really quick here. We're going to have the rest of those advisories and warnings coming up for you. Just want to show you your extended forecast. Sunshine across the board, below average with a warm up in store as we head into next week. Rick, back to you.
All right, thank you.
Those days that you may have experienced in the past, we're running the heat every single day and night as well. It is that cold out there. We're in the 40s, actually. That's right here at the Broadcast Center in Studio City. And you're saying that's not that cold. Well, it's getting colder. We'll show you exactly how cold it's going to get. We're taking you outside to the pier to Long Beach this evening, where we're expecting 30s in the forecast. Last night got down to 40, and tonight getting down to the 30s. We'll have those numbers coming up for you in a minute. Frost advisories and watches in effect tonight. We also have frost or freeze warnings in effect for the IE and the interior portions of Ventura County. Wind advisories in store as well. High surf and coastal flood advisories. And we've got a Santa Ana wind event on the way next week, and that does mean we're potentially warming up once we get there. Until then, not the case. This is what temperatures look like tonight. If you thought last night was cold, tonight is even colder. 36 in Long Beach, 37 downtown Oxnard, 30, 36 in Anaheim, 42 in Newport. 32 in Pasadena, Ontario, 36. And finally, checking in with Big Bear, getting down to a very cold 4 degrees. Sharon, back to you.
All right.
Drink some tea or hot chocolate or
hot water
Tully's
with
coffee
lemon
like
in
we
it.
were just talking about. Any coffee, really. Or hot water or just extra blankets, heat. There's lots of things you can do to warm up, but it is quite cold out there. You're going to feel it if you step outside, and you may feel it if you're sitting inside as well. 46, that's right here at the Broadcast Center in Studio City. 38 in Pasadena, 18 in Wrightwood, so temperatures are well below freezing already. San Bernardino, just a couple degrees above freezing, but not long before we get to 32. You're going to see a little bit of a breeze out there tonight. Santa Clarita, 14 miles an hour, 14 miles an hour for Lancaster, and 10 for the Apple Valley. Remember, it's the wind-protected areas that are actually getting colder. So the breezier it is, the warmer it will be, even though it feels colder. What happens when the wind comes in, the air mixes, and that actually makes for warmer temperatures. We do have freeze warnings out there into some of our inland valleys. The IE under a freeze warning, midnight to 8 a.m. We're expecting sub-freezing temperatures. Sub-freezing, yes, below 32 degrees. So we're expecting 20s and low 30s for an extended period of time, hence warranting the freeze warning. We also have a freeze warning in effect for the interior portions of Ventura County. A frost advisory in effect for our local mountains and valleys as well, all the way into Orange County, the Santa Clarita Valley right there. That kicks in overnight, lasts through 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. We have a freeze watch in addition to that, and the freeze watch isn't going into effect tonight. It's basically just a watch for tomorrow night, and it will probably turn into an advisory or even a warning. We're expecting another cold night on tap as we head toward your weekend. A wind advisory in effect as well, and that's for the LA County mountains actually, and for the Santa Clarita Valley, and we also have a coastal flood advisory. We're looking at high tide first thing in the morning. We could see some flooding along the coast. Freeze warnings, as we mentioned, frost advisories and watches, wind advisories. And again, we do have high surf, so that's something to watch out for over the next 24 hours. And forecast lows look like this. 30s with a few 40s, 20s and 30s out there, 31 in Riverside tonight, 4 degrees in Big Bear, 22 in the Apple Valley, 33 in Palm Springs. So generally temperatures are about 11 degrees below average for this time of year. And yes, we are eyeing those warnings and advisories tonight with a watch in effect for tomorrow night. Temperatures in the 20s and 30s over the next couple of days for the valleys in the Inland Empire. And for the beaches, 40s and 30s, 50s turning to 60s, getting a little warmer as we head into the middle part of your work week. Rick and Sharon, back to you. Well, Lena and Sylvia, we're going very low. Temperatures are very low out there right now, but they're only set to get colder. So we're at 19 already in Wrightwood, 27 in Lancaster, 39 Van Nuys, 42 in downtown, and 44 degrees right now in Anaheim. Moving over to Santa Monica, 45, and Oxnard, 44 degrees, Simi Valley at 34. Still a little breezy out there wind-wise as well, 14 miles an hour in Santa Clarita, 13 in Lancaster, 11 in Burbank. So we do have a freeze warning in effect, as we were just discussing, for the IE. That kicks in overnight, lasts through 8 a.m., but even before it does kick in, we're expecting some sub-freezing temperatures. By sub-freezing, of course, below 32 degrees, we're expecting 20s out there tonight and a few low 30s. Freeze warning also in effect for the interior portions of Ventura County. Additionally, we've got frost advisories in effect tonight as well across the majority of the Southland overnight through 9 a.m. and a freeze watch kicking in tomorrow night. We actually have another night of freezing cold temperatures, so we're bracing for that with that freeze watch. We also have wind advisory still in effect, but generally winds are gradually starting to die down. We have a high surf advisory still and a coastal flood advisory in effect through 11 a.m. along the Orange County coastline through tomorrow. So just to reiterate, watches, warnings out there, high surf, wind, we've got it all. We're going to have more on that, your weekend forecast, and your warm-up, when that's going to happen. That's all coming up in just a bit. Lena and Sylvia, back to you. That's very true, but you've probably gotten very accustomed to Southern California living, right? So,
exactly.
So that's
my blood has thinned.
Exactly, exactly. So yes, it's not Minnesota cold, but it's very cold for Southern California. We're in the 30s, the 40s. We're expecting to get even cooler. It's a little breezy out there. We're getting a look at Long Beach. We're expecting to get down to the upper 30s in Long Beach tonight. And we have seen a few snow flurries up in the mountains. Not a whole lot, but in the Grapevine, just a tiny bit there. We have seen a few flurries closer to Big Bear. Other than that, it's clear and it's cold out there. We've got freeze warnings in in effect for the IE and the interior portions of Ventura County. We've got frost advisories in effect. Watches going into effect for tomorrow, because we will continue to see a very cold forecast as we head into your weekend. Wind advisory still in effect as well, and a high surf advisory and a coastal flood advisory for the Orange County coastline. Still looking at high surf that could possibly cause some flooding. You'll see forecast lows getting even colder tonight compared to where we were last night. 37 in downtown, 30 in Oxnard, so we are below freezing. 36 in Anaheim, 42 in Newport Beach, 32 in Pasadena, right at freezing. 31 Riverside, 36 in Ontario, Big Bear 4 degrees, Lancaster 15 degrees, in the Apple Valley at 22. So on average, temperatures are about 11 degrees below where they should be for this time of year. Very cold out there and continuing to stay cold with those freeze warnings and advisories. For the valleys in the Inland Empire, 50s, eventually getting warmer, getting close to 70 next week. That does sound pretty good to me. Hopefully it sounds good to you as well. For the mountains, 20s with single-digit overnight lows over the next few nights. Lena and Sylvia, back to you. And we still have high surf advisories and coastal flood advisories out there, along with a freezing cold night. We'll have the details coming up.
Oh, that's really beautiful.
Gorgeous. It's always nice when you can see it from afar.
Yes.
And not be right in it.
Right.
Like that snow.
As long as that's not
the
your
frosty
window.
conditions. Right.
It's nice to come and visit it and look at that. So, yeah. So
blanket weather.
Blanket weather, high tide weather, a lot of kind of weather out there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really cold. That's all I can say.
Yes.
It's downright cold. It's freezing cold. If you thought last night was cold, tonight is even colder.
Oh boy.
Significantly colder. We've got freeze warnings, we've got frost advisories, and watches out there as well. We're going to get there in just a minute. We do want to take you outside briefly to the sun. Really, the big story tonight, very cold out there. By midnight, the warnings kicking in for the Inland Empire and for the interior portions of Ventura County. We also have frost advisories in effect for a lot of our inland valleys tonight, and that's going to kick in overnight. It's going to last through 9 a.m. And then we've got a freeze watch that actually kicks in tomorrow, and it lasts through your Sunday. So we're still looking at another cold night ahead for Southern California as we head toward the rest of the weekend. Still windy out there. There's a wind advisory in effect for the Santa Clarita Valley and some of our mountains, and that's going to continue to stay in effect through 6 o'clock in the morning. So just to reiterate, we've got freeze warnings, frost advisories and watches, wind advisories, and a high surf advisory and a coastal flood advisory for Orange County. Let's get through those forecast lows. Take a look at how cold it's going to get. Oxnard, 30 degrees. Newport, 42 degrees. Anaheim, 36. 32 in Pasadena, 31 Riverside, 4 degrees in Big Bear. It is very cold. 22 in the Apple Valley, 23 in Hesperia, and you'll see temperatures generally about 11 degrees below average for this time of year. Earlier today downtown we got up to 55 degrees, and if you think that's cold, well, the coldest it ever got in downtown for an afternoon high was 43 degrees back in 1922. So 55 wasn't so bad, even though it's well below average for this time of year. Average is 68 degrees. Eventually we'll get there later in the week by your Wednesday. Until then, below average, quite cool, clear, and chilly in the afternoon. Back to you. It's going to get a lot colder. We're in the 40s right now. We're getting down to the 30s. You think that's cold? We're talking teens tonight, 20s, even single-digit temperatures. We're drawing your attention right here to satellite radar because there is a little bit of snow and rain. Nothing major, but we could see a few flurries overnight in the Grapevine. And as soon as any precipitation comes down, it's going to freeze because it is that cold out there. So it could get a little icy through the Grapevine. So we're eyeing that right now. Currently, temperatures in the 20s, the teens, the 30s, and the 40s. 37 Pasadena, 17 in Wrightwood, 41 in downtown, and 38 in Van Nuys. And of course, temperatures only getting cooler. We've got lots of advisories and warnings to talk about in the way of the cold weather. We'll have that coming up. Rick, back to you. And bracing for another very cold night. We'll break down all those temperatures. We'll have that weekend forecast, and we'll tell you when it's finally supposed to warm up.
No big deal.
Well, that's hot compared to some other places in the Southland, believe it or not. We're taking you to the pier where it's chilly. Looks like somebody's bundling up right over there. Right over there. I see the hoods on.
Right?
Who knows? Beats me.
What were they thinking of?
By the water,
me.
no doubt.
Yes. It's cold, and usually it's a little warmer by the water, which is the case, but we're still in the 40s there, 45 in Santa Monica. So it's cold wherever you go tonight. Even colder in Van Nuys at 38, Lancaster 27, Wrightwood 17, 37 in Pasadena. And if you think this looks cold, it's only getting colder over the next few hours. We've got a freeze warning kicking in at midnight, lasting through 8 a.m. for the IE and the interior portions of Ventura County. Expecting sub-freezing temperatures for hours at a time, 20s and 30s. So don't forget, bring in the pets, bring in the plants. We say it every time, but really it's that cold outside. A frost advisory in effect for the majority of the Southland tonight. A lot of our inland valleys feeling the cold temperatures, 20s and 30s there as well. Spots like Glendale, Pasadena, Pomona, and Thousand Oaks all affected. A freeze watch going into effect tomorrow, lasting through 9 a.m. And this watch will probably be upgraded to an advisory or a warning. But at this point, looks like we've got another freezing cold night in store as we head into tomorrow. We've got wind advisories in store as well through the 6 o'clock hour for the Santa Clarita Valley and parts of our local mountains there, the LA County mountains, and still looking at a high surf advisory, and as a result, a coastal flood advisory along the Orange County coastline until 11 o'clock tomorrow in the late morning. Until then, temperatures dropping off. Take a look at these numbers. 36 in Long Beach, 30 in Oxnard, 36 in Anaheim, and 42 in Newport. 28 in Northridge, 31 Riverside, 36 in Ontario, 15 in Lancaster. Big Bear at a whopping 4 degrees for tonight. Single-digit temperatures in the mountains, 22 in Apple Valley, and on average temperatures are about 11 degrees below where they should be for this time of year. And this is for your overnight lows. Remember, freeze warnings and frost advisories out there. Earlier today, we made it to 55 in downtown. If you think that's cold, well, the coldest downtown ever got was 43 degrees. That was back in 1922. So it makes 55 look warm. Just trying to make you feel a little better about the cold. Over the next 24 hours, we're in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s by the afternoon, still below average. Burbank 53, Irvine 57, Lancaster 42, and Oxnard 57 degrees. Let's get to your 5-day forecast for the Basin in Orange County. 50s turning to 60s by the middle of next week. We're getting close to 70s. The Santa Ana winds are actually starting to kick in. We will see an offshore wind event, and that will eventually warm us up. Until then, 40s, teens, take a look at that. 10 degrees by Sunday into the overnight hours for the desert, so very cold. The mountains in the 20s with single-digit lows. And finally, checking in with the valleys in the Inland Empire, 50s, eventually turning to 60s, getting close to 70. Sounds amazing right about now by your Wednesday with 20s and 30s overnight until then. Rick and Sharon, back to you.